Hey, college success. Welcome to week 10 of the semester, double digits. All right, so we are, scroll all the way down on my page. We are going to be in chapter 8 today, or this week rather. If you haven't already, go ahead and take a look at the week 10 video over the chapter 8 lecture. So it goes over the contents of the chapter and it gives you the basis of understanding for what the assignments are going to be focused on. So if I go ahead and click in, so chapter 8 is all about communicating and different ways we communicate, like in person, text, using technology. So lots of different things that encompass what communication is. Verbal, body language. So again, just all of these different parts and pieces. So if I can go back here, the snapshot is normal. Hopefully you are completely used to this by now. You have a discussion forum that you need to post your original response by Wednesday. Responded to classmates by Sunday. I know we're 10 weeks in, but I am starting to see some responses that are like, oh, I agree. Like they're starting to get a little generic. So make sure that we are responding to a classmate in a meaningful way, building off of something they said or comparing or contrasting to what you have said, something that's going to make that like a little bit more meaningful interaction. You have a chapter 8 assignment, which I really like this one, and then a chapter 8 quiz. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, chapter 8 assignments for week 10. You have your discussion forum. Again, make sure you respond your original response by Wednesday for your attendance and respond to 2 classmates by Sunday. Remember, it is 150 words or more. And if you're just a little under, no big deal. So sometimes when we communicate, we do so with people who we may not always agree with or see eye to eye with. And so this is asking you to reflect outside your usual comfort zone. So maybe your close family, your close friends. Think of someone with whom you disagree. So maybe that is a family member, maybe it is a friend, or it is like an acquaintance, it's a classmate, it's someone that you work with. When you've disagreed with that person, how has what they have said affected you? Did they use correct etiquette when they were communicating? How did you respond to make sure that you were being heard and maybe not offensive, or maybe you were offensive and you didn't mean to be, or you meant to be, So basically you're thinking through, how do I communicate and how do I respond in situations in which I am talking to someone who I usually either don't get along with, or maybe just on this particular subject, we're not seeing eye to eye. So think about kind of how that etiquette, your body language, your tone, your words, your energy, all of that plays into how you interact with someone with whom you are disagreeing, whether it is like a one-time thing or it's someone that you constantly seem to disagree with. That is your discussion forum. So post your original response by Wednesday, respond to 2 classmates by Sunday. All right, chapter 8 assignment, communicating with a professor. So you will click on this. It's going to open up into this PDF. And it is going to have 3 examples of what we would consider probably not the best ways to interact or communicate with a professor. So communication number 1, email. It says here's a professor from Harry Potter fan 1 at snooze.com. All right. Subject, hey. And then you can see, hey, sorry, I wasn't in class. I was on the road trying to get a hot spot so I could take the quaz, I don't know. I was hoping you would let me take the quaz because I wasn't in class. All right. Communication 2, sent through a text message, emojis. I lost my paper when I tried to send it in. Send it. Can I turn it in late? Communication 3, face-to-face, as the professor is walking. I really don't understand why I failed that paper. I did everything in the assignment and I really tried. I think you don't like me or what I wrote, so you are punishing me. So in all 3 of these instances, there is something not quite accurate. Like it's not professional. It's not kind of, maybe the modality isn't quite right. So your job, and you can do this, right, if you want to just like click in here and click write submission, you can do it right here, or you can do it in a Word document and upload there. So you can, number 1, number 2, number 3. You're going to rewrite those interactions. And let's say, for instance, you think that this shouldn't have been a text message, or this shouldn't have been an email, or this shouldn't have been, you can change the modality. You can say, communication number 3 should have been an email, or, communication number 1 should have been a face-to-face conversation, whatever. You're allowed to change that. You don't have to keep it email, text message, or face-to-face. What you really do also need to make sure you are changing is what's going on here that's not correct. Look at the email addresses used, look at the language used, look at how they're approaching the professor. What is being done or said or approached in each of these ways that you could probably do a better job with. So that's what you are doing for this assignment here. You are trying to rewrite them so that they are kind of following more proper etiquette rules when using communication, specifically if it's a communication using like a technology, email and text message, which our textbook does specifically talk about communication and technology in section 8.3. So really make sure that you pay attention to that, rewrite it so that they're more appropriate, more professional. And then whether you do a Word doc or write submission, just make sure you hit submit. And then the last thing is your Chapter 8 quiz. So you want to make sure that you have that pulled up. Make sure you're responding in 2 to 5 complete sentences. Answer all parts of the questions, please. So question number 1 says you're going to create a presentation about how we talk every day versus how we are expected to communicate in college. What would you include in the presentation? Like, okay, these are the ways that we want to change our communication strategies as a college student. How could you kind of compare, contrast everyday communication with college level communication expectations? That's question 1. Question 2, reflect on your use of technology considering Reingold's 5 literacies, and it lists them there, but as a reference in your textbook, they're under section 8.3 right here. Attention, participation, collaboration, network awareness, and critical consumption. These are online, so it's not talking about sitting in a face-to-face classroom. So if you're communicating online, like in a discussion forum, are you paying attention to the people who are, around you digitally? Are you participating? How are you generating content? Are you working with others in this way? Do you not work with people online? Network awareness, what kind of online interactions and who do you follow and influence? And then critical consumption, how do you kind of look to see how reliable or how quality things are that you are getting online? So the question asks you, think about those things. What is your most developed area? What is your least developed area? And provide an example. So maybe you can talk about how you really do a great job of collaborating online, or vice versa. You don't do a great job and you really need to help yourself when it comes to evaluating sources. So that's what that question is asking. Question 3 is talking about, how could you improve your listening skills? What strategies would be helpful to do so, and which ones and why? Question 4, what barriers of communication do you need to consider whenever you are trying to be understood? And then question 5, this is asking about a participation question. So it says that typically the student sits in the back of the room and she's on her phone. She doesn't seem interested. How can she look as if she's communicating a better way of that she's interested? How can she communicate a different message? What things can she do? What things can she say to change that message she's sending? All right, so when you're done with that, you will make sure that you submit that into the Dropbox. Quick summation, post your original response to your attendance post by Wednesday, responded to classmates by Sunday. Chapter 8 assignment, the communicating with a professor, and your Chapter 8 quiz are due by Sunday as well. Have a great week.